All right, guys and girls, this is your assignment. So I am going to walk you through it. I'm going to help you out with numbers 1 and numbers 2. And then you are going to do 3, 4, and 5 on your own. And you will turn it into Google Classroom when you are done. So we've already updated our causes for this story. So that should be done for you. This will also be posted to Google Classroom, and then you will be updating as we go along. So we don't need this. All we need is our textbook and our document. So the directions are: read the history Writing from a Night to Remember by Walter Lord. Check. Then reread the lines indicated with each question below. Answer by typing in the box below each question, citing text evidence when needed. So I have given you the answers in purple. The bold purple that you see above each box is the answer to the question. The answers, however, are not, the answers are not in complete sentences. So what I need you to do is put them in a complete sentence and type them into the answer space below. All right, but let's go over this first. So question number 1, it wants me to reread lines 4 through 6. So I'm going to go back to my textbook. I'm going to go back to page 185 because that's where our story began. And I'm going to look for lines 1 through 6. Now, I am super bummed I can't make this bigger. Let's see. Page view. There we go. Okay. So now if I scroll here, the beginning of my story, this line right here is line 1. After that, we just keep going. When we get to the next page, whatever line we stopped on here, we're going to continue to the next one. The only line 1 you have is the first line of the story. Now they give you some lines. So it looks like they maybe are giving us every 10 lines here. So this was line 10. I could go 9, 8, 7. So this paragraph begins on line 7. Now the question is asking me for lines 4 through 6. So I'm going to go back here to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right here, but is going to start my line 4, 5, and 6. So if I read these lines again, but the cloudless sky blazed with stars. The Atlantic was like polished plate glass. People later said they had never seen it so smooth. So I reread those lines. Now it wants me to go and ask myself, what are the powerful tone words in these lines? How would you describe the effect these words have? So what do they create is what they want to know. There are 2 parts to these questions, my friends. What are the powerful tone words? And how would you describe the effects that the words have? So let's review quickly. Tone is the writer's attitude. So it's the words that they're using to give you a mood or a feeling. So the tone comes from the author. So how did the author describe this night in lines 4 through 6? He said it was a cloudless sky, blazed with stars. So he didn't say it was a dark night. He said it was a cloudless sky with blazed stars. All right, they also compared it. It was like, we have a little simile in there, polished plate glass. So I'm going to take those words from my author, and I'm going to put it into a complete sentence using the words that they gave me. What are powerful tone words? Okay, well, some powerful tone words in these lines are, and it's from the story, so I'm going to put it in my quote, blazed with stars and polished plate glass. All right, am I done? Oh, nope. I didn't answer the second half of the question. So how would you describe the effect these words have? So what do they create? Well, I can imagine what it looks like when they say that the cloudless sky blazed with stars and it looked like polished plate glass. What a clear, calm, beautiful night. So I might say, these words create a vivid picture of a quiet, beautiful, beautiful night. Boom. Now, let's see. It wants me to, oh, I forgot of a quiet. So these words create a vivid picture of a quiet, beautiful night. Now I've taken this and I've turned it into complete sentences using words for my question. All right, that one wasn't so bad. So I'm going to do number 2 with you, and then you are going to finish it up on your own. You can do it. I believe in you. All right, this one's a little bit trickier. Lines 88 through 106. So, okay, sorry. One more thing I wanted to point out before we move on. Why didn't I use the words calm, clear, and bitterly cold? I want you to think to yourself, why did I not use these words here, even though they are describing the night? What line is this? 1, 2, 3. Did my question ask me to read line 3? No. It only asked me to read lines 4, 5, and 6. So I can only take words from these lines. So it's super important to be able to go back and look at these specific lines they tell you. All right, so I'm looking for line 88. I see 50 there. Let's see. Oh, I see 90. So I'm not going to count to 88. That would take forever. I'm going to look for 90. I'm going to go backwards. 89, 88. All right, so 88 through, I'm going to start here at the passengers. And it's going to go through 106. So 101, 102, 103, 104. Ooh. 105, 106. So it's almost this entire page. Right? And the question is, how does the author illustrate or show us the moment when the Titanic hits the iceberg? What effect does this text have for the reader? So we always want to know what happened and how did it affect our reader? All right? Your author does this on purpose. So how do they show us or illustrate to us that moment when they hit the iceberg? Well, they're telling us about different passengers here. We have Marguerite Frolicker. We have she was the young Swiss girl accompanying her father. We have Major Arthur Godfrey. So they're giving us Mrs. Stewart. All of these people, what they thought, as if somebody had drawn a giant finger, 1,000 marbles. So it was what they thought happened the moment that they hit the Titanic. So what did I write? Tell stories from passengers who survived the Titanic. All right. Let's use our question stem. How does the author illustrate the moment when the Titanic hits the iceberg? And I'm going to steal his words. The author illustrates the moment when the capital there, because that's the name of the ship. Titanic hits the iceberg by telling stories from passengers who survived the, let's say, Titanic disaster. It shows how they felt in that moment. And it wants to know what effect does this have for the reader. And it allows the reader to feel like they were there to experience the disaster. All right. Did I answer both parts of the question? Yes. Did I use question stems from the question to combine with my answer? Yep. And do we have 2 complete sentences? Looks good. So the author illustrates the moment when the Titanic hits the iceberg by telling stories from passengers who survived the Titanic disaster. And it shows how they felt in that moment and allows the reader to feel like they were there to experience the disaster. So for the last 3 questions, you're doing the same thing. And I'll even enter this to the next page for you. All right, so how is the ice described? What do you think this would look like? If you go back in those lines, it says it was like a wall. And then what do you think it would look like? This is what I think it would look like. The whole entire porthole would be filled with ice. It was a cold, dark night. And then all of a sudden, boom, giant white wall in front of your window. Totally different, right? And this one here, it wants you to know, why does the author decide to tell even more passengers' reactions? Why is this a different style than the newspaper article? Well, think about a newspaper. You're getting the reporter's information. So it's basically just their one point of view or their perspective. Did they only give us one point of view in the Night to Remember? I don't think so. I think they gave us lots. All right, so read my answer in purple there and go ahead and type in your sentence or sentences. It'll probably be more than one. And this last one is kind of your opinion. All right, it wants to know if the author's tone in the passage is similar or different from the rest of the selection. So this one has to do with the last page of the text. I'm going to go to page 192. All right, so here they're telling us, then came that thud, the grinding, tearing sound, the telegraphs ringing wildly, and the watertight doors crashing down. Most of the men couldn't imagine what it was. All right, so they're kind of a little bit panicked here. And the blimey, we've struck an iceberg. And then we go to our lines. We're looking for lines 234 through 255. So I have 240, 239, 238, 237, 236, 235, 234, right at the beginning of this paragraph. And it goes all the way to lines 255, which I do believe is the end of our story. Yep. 250, 251, 252, 253, 254, 255. All right, so here they're giving us a different account. About 10 miles away, Third Officer Charles Victor Groves stood on the bridge of the Leyland liner Californian, bound from London to Boston. A plodding 6,000-tonner, she had room for 47 passengers, but none were being carried just now. Then they tell us another one. At about 11:10, Groves noticed the lights of another ship racing up from the east on the starboard side. As the newcomer rapidly overhauled the motionless Californian, a blaze of deck lights showed that she was a large passenger liner. So I want you to think about these last three paragraphs. Is the tones in this passage similar or different from the rest? All right, so it's your choice here. Some people think it's similar because it's still just giving facts, and the entire story was a factual story. It was very objective, just giving us information from different people's perspectives and what happened that night, kind of piecing it all together. Others might think it's different. The tone right before was starting to sound panicked. The tone here is factual and calm. So, your choice here, you can decide whether it's similar or different. Put it into a complete sentence here.